I know that these cold opens are meant to be jokes, but I want to assure you that what I am about to say is with 100% sincerity. I cannot for the life of me imagine being an actual fan of the Sacramento Kings. Psychos and sickos unite for a book bag edition of the PHNX Suns post-game show, of course brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5 and get $150 in bonus bets. I'm hyped and I'm Eric. That's Gil. He's got one eye on the Wake Forest game, but he's going to give it his all tonight. And then we got the freckled mamba behind the Mac and making all of the magic happen. Steven back in action, back at the morgue, will be calling in later in the show. Espo, a much-deserved vacation, but he missed one hell of a game as the Phoenix Suns took care of the lowly Sacramento Kings 129-102. We're going to cover it all on tonight's post-game show. Devin Booker returning to form. Also Ighodaro putting in work. Mark Williams screwing me on my bet. All of the most important things that happened in tonight's game. But hit that like button first. Hit that subscribe button first. And we don't ask you to do this often, but share this with a friend. It's 2026. Let's ring in the new year. It's going to be a great year for the Suns, undefeated so far in 2026. No small feat. So share this with a Suns friend of yours. Let's grow this community and let's dive into it because, Gil, what a great way to start the year. And I ask the most important question first. Can we play the Sacramento Kings every single game?
Every game. I mean, you might go 82-0 if that's the case. And league wouldn't like that. But yeah, I had to look up the artist Bachman Turner Overdrive, Taking Care of Business. That's the theme song for tonight. To win this game by 27 points, for the vets to be able to rest in the fourth quarter book, only 28 minutes of action. Mark Williams, much to your chagrin. 22 minutes of action. We won't get too much into that, but Royce played the most minutes of All-Stars, and he played 30 minutes. Like, that's exactly what you wanted to see from tonight's game.
Absolutely. Tonight's game, we had very high on the must-win meter, and part of that is because coming up, you've got some pretty brutal games. A back-to-back against OKC and Houston. Obviously, that's brutal. You're about to face some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Even though you've already gotten through the hardest part of your schedule, games like this are few and far in between. The Sacramento Kings have won 3 games on the road this year and 8 games overall. This is not a good basketball team. Now, was tonight's win impressive? I still think so, especially when you go down individually, player by player. But overall, the Phoenix Suns now have hit 20 wins. They're 20-14 on the season, 11-5 at home. This was a game they are absolutely expected to win and expected to take care of business. They came out in the second half and they did that. Macro, they've hit 20 wins, the fastest for the since the 2020-2021 season, which we all know what happened in that season. Gil, going into the new year, ending 2025, it was clear the Suns were in a good spot. I think tonight is just another example of the fact that if you don't want to call this team great, you have to at least call them good and solid at a bare minimum. And they're winning games, 6 games over 500 for now the second time this season.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Good. This is a good team, and you have to earn the right to be considered a good team with your body of work. And it's cool to see you do it against the NBA's elite. It's important to see that. But this is a culture win. This is a night where, this is a slight reprieve in our schedule. This is a team who was one of the worst in the NBA. They don't have everybody. We don't have everybody, but we're going to do what we do, and they had more than the Kings tonight. The Kings hung around. They didn't make it easy. It was a what?
First half.
It was a 6-point game at halftime, and then you're just like, oh yeah, we're on a way different level than you guys, and outscoring them in the second half, 67-46. That's it.
That'll get the job done.
That'll get the job done. So I think to see that is the most impressive part, because we've talked about it kind of to the point where we sound like broken records. It does not matter who the opponent is, whether they are at the top of the standings or the bottom. this Suns team is going to be the same Suns team. I think they're still figuring it out, but they're way closer to doing that 100% of the time than they were even a month and a half ago.
Sean in the chat, one of our members, one of our diehards, says we're 2/3 of the way to our expected win total. Yeah, we're a good team. Suck it, Bill Simmons. Winners of 6 out of their last 8. That would be the Phoenix Suns, right? And coming off of one of those losses to end 2025. The response thing at halftime, yes, we go back to the first game of the season against this same team. And you say, what happened after halftime? They came out, they turned it on, and it was over. But I think the response after a game like 2 days ago, Cleveland, not only did you, from a holistic perspective, play poorly, you were never really in that game. Cleveland just kind of stomped you out on the end of a 4-game road trip. But individually, besides Devin Booker, I think the 2 other best players on the court tonight for the Suns were 2 guys who had poor games, in Ighodaro and Mark Williams against the Cavaliers. And we'll talk more about individual performances here in a second. But I just think that speaks to the intangibles of this team. It speaks to the resiliency. Listen to the old man in the 3, now I guess the young man in the 3 podcast with Mark Williams, Collin Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin, and Ryan Dunn, an absolute must-listen for Suns fans. And they just talked about how competitive they have always been from the moment that the offseason started. And you don't get all of the great things that we talk about. Oh, they show up, they play hard. If you don't have something internally driving you, and I think it's rare that you can look up and down at a roster and say every single guy's got that. Because Gil, the fourth quarter, the Suns cleared their bench, no starters, right? Jamaree, Bouyea, BLOWOUT, Fleming, these are the guys that got minutes. They won the quarter 32-19.
Yeah.
And they were having fun out there. It's literally top to bottom, not even as a cliche. Every single player on this roster has this competitive itch that needs to be scratched no matter how many minutes they play.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of the reason why I consider this to be a culture win. And it's a funny word to use in this sense because usually it's used with like a negative connotation, but accountability. And I think like the accountability that you hold your teammate to be that type of competitor, for that to matter, for every single rep, whether you are up 5 or up 15 or up 25 late in the game, for those guys, and I think that they're vets, based on watching the way they interact with the young guys on this team, telling them, listen, these are game reps that are so important for you. It doesn't matter. Don't look at the score right now. Or look at what the score is right now and don't let them outscore you in your segment of time that you're in the game. We're seeing Rasheer Fleming make plays. We're seeing BLOWOUT make plays, the block shots, the steal, the passes up the court. And it was cool, too, to see that one play that we had kind of highlighted with BLOWOUT involved, Bouyea and Jordan Goodwin all involved. And you have a blend of guys who are in very different situations in their league. You have a guy who finally found his NBA home. You have a scrappy journeyman who also finally found his NBA home, and you have a top 10 pick. And all these guys kind of on the same level of compete. That's that across the board that you talked about, everybody being on the same page because their coach demands it, but they demand it of each other, and you can see it when they play.
Doesn't matter if your coach demands it if you don't have other teammates going out there and holding to that standard. The same podcast, they mentioned you can't not bring it if Dillon Brooks is on the court. Right. And as much as I'd like to talk about Dillon Brooks and Jamaree, Bouyea and Mala, and we will, I think we talk about literally every single player who touched the floor tonight because I think there was some positives with everybody. We have to start with one man. The one man.
Number one.
Literally number one in more ways than one. It's Devin Booker. Let's get to our Dude of the Night presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. 27. That is how many points Devin Booker scored in the first half against the Kings. And in just 28 minutes tonight, he ends up with 33 points, 13 of 21 from the field. 1 of 6 from deep, but we're not going to talk about that. 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, a plus 11 on the night. Devin Booker looked about as elite as he could be. It felt like we were watching Devin Booker in his prime. I know that he had a good second half against the Cavs, but this one felt different because it really kept the Suns alive in the first half, and he helped put it away at the beginning of the second.
I'm going to spin those shooting percentages too, by the way.
Please.
He was 12-15 inside the arc.
There you go.
He's 12-15 inside the arc.
And he looked like it too. It wasn't just like, oh, he got to the rim. And yeah, Sacramento sucks at defense, but man, he was hitting some really tough shots
out there. He looked so comfortable out there. And I think that we talked about this before the game. One, building on that second half in Cleveland on Wednesday. And when you combine his second half in Cleveland and his first half tonight, 53 points in I don't know how many minutes of basketball, but definitely less than 24 minutes of basketball. That's pretty good. Dished out a couple assists tonight as well, but like you said, just looking comfortable out there, going to a couple things that you see a guy who's comfortable feeling himself, feeling confident and trusting himself, and that's important for a guy who's coming back from a soft tissue injury. And we said 75, 80%. I think we can bump him up to 85, 90% back to being the book that this team is going to need to reach their ceiling this season. And that was very good to see. And the best part about it, he did all his work in 28 minutes.
Yeah, right. and again, there was like this little point here. I don't know what happened with Book, but he was like kind of limping a little bit. And then, he was fine.
Yeah.
And I think the next possession he drove to the rim, threw a foul. I'm going to spin the shooting percentages again. You spun it once. I'm going to spin it again like cotton candy. 1 of 6 from deep, but he hit the most important one. And that was when he broke bum-ass Drew Eubanks' ankles. Oh, my God, dude. Broke his ankles and drained the three. Listen, I don't even need to say anything about Drew Eubanks, but I think there was a little extra sauce on that one. I think Book even held his celebration a little bit longer after that one. A really great night from Devin Booker. Also, Devin Booker debuting his new Book 2s on. I guess it wasn't debuting because he's worn them on the court already, but they they officially released. New colorway was like all black. I believe this is kind of like the secret agent. Yeah, it was okay. Not my favorite PEs, but clearly played really well in them. Great marketing campaign for him to go out there and to have this type of night. This has been needed. We need Devin Booker to hit his peak, and obviously he's not set up in the best position to really score that well, as much as Dillon Brooks has been solid and had a solid night tonight in just 25 minutes, 18 points, 8 of 14 from the field.
Honestly.
Yeah, 50% from deep, but like if I told you 18 points and 8 of 14 from the field and 2 of 4 from deep was a quiet Dillon Brooks night at the beginning of the season, we take
you
it.
would look at me funny.
We would take it, right? But no Jalen Green tonight. Of course, hopefully we get him sometime this month. Grayson Allen missed his 9th consecutive game. Those are your 2 other best offensive creators. Everybody else did play well around Book tonight, but I think that started because Book came out and was absolutely on fire. This is just going to be the PHNX Suns gives props to other podcast show because Mike Vigil, host of the Timeline, tweeted that he's been saying that Devin Booker waits until the first All-Star returns come out to start hooping. And it does kind of line up because he has really picked up since that came out. Ever since that back-to-back against Golden State, it really feels like Book has been progressing towards what we saw tonight, which was vintage, I hate saying that, but vintage Devin Booker.
And not to say that we told you so, whoever you might be, but
Sam in the chat.
When this team, when he was struggling, we were like, man, something's off. And we also said that, look, Devin Booker can be better. We were not protecting him from saying, look, he's bad. And we're still talking about the 3-point shooting percentages as something that needs to get better because we're not here sitting here saying like he's all the way back. That's the last piece of it, right? But the confidence that he's playing with, the ways in which he's getting to his spots, the ways in which he's looking to get to his spots, and just like the market level of aggression that he's been playing with. You talked about when he came up limping a little bit, then he drives to the basket. He's trusting himself again. And I think that we're just seeing the mentality that he is getting back to. And again, who knows if the groin was nagging him during those struggles and he needed to just be shelved for a few weeks. Whatever it is, I'm happy to see him playing this way, and it's going to be really, really fun once this team gets to full strength because he's rounding into shape, and that'll make it easier to get everybody else involved.
This is nowhere near where his peak could be, and that's the awesome part, right? 27 points and a half. If he had to play the fourth quarter tonight, he might have dropped 50. Realistically, if this game was close, Devin Booker still has things that he can improve on even in this game. We talked about the shooting percentage. I think the only other thing that you could really point out is 5 turnovers.
5 of the team's 9.
Right. And well, and here's the thing. The 5 turnovers for Book tonight, especially in the first half, that's part of the reason why the Kings kind of kept it close and the Suns just played smarter in the second half overall as a team. We know that Book can get to the point where he's dishing out 8 assists on 3 turnovers. We know he can get there. We know that he could shoot 35% from deep, right? That's not even a great mark, but that's like 5% better than what he's shooting and obviously a lot better than what he shot tonight. If he does those things, he could be averaging 30 plus points per game, 8 assists per game. As you go into February, you go into March, if he kind of gets right in this month of January. And then, of course, that gears you up towards hopefully a potential playoff play-in run where he kind of gets his legs under him. Just overall, a fantastic performance from Devin Booker tonight. Do you feel like there's anything else that we need to mention with him specifically? Because there's a lot of other love that we need to give to other players.
Yeah, one last thing I'll say with him, and it's the shooting piece again, and I just want to key on one more thing. It's not there, but the most encouraging thing, and not that he's a guy who would stop, but he continues to go for it. He continues to look for it, basically saying, I'm going to break through eventually. And it's very much aligned with his mentor, Kobe Bryant. He's not saying, oh, I'm going to go 1 for 3 and stop. I'm going to go 1 for 6 and then keep trying to figure it out. Because eventually that 1 for 6 is going to be 3 for 6. And I think that's just a matter of time for that breakthrough to come. And it's only going to come if he keeps going for it, and he's looking for it. So
yeah, and he was looking for his shot tonight. I think even some of those threes, if he wasn't feeling it as much as he was from inside the arc, I think there were a couple of those three-point shots that he's not taking. You and I have talked about it. He is really looking for that transition pull-up three. He wants it to drop so bad. I think it will eventually. He still has room to improve, but at the end of the day, he's still our dude of the night. But who is the blue-collar boy of the night? Plus, we have a unique opportunity for everybody in the chat here tonight. You can sponsor a segment here. Whoever sends the first super chat of the night will be a sponsor of a segment. That's right. We will shout you out, not just for your super chat, but we'll shout you out sponsoring the segment as well as the Phoenix Suns take care of business 1-0 in 2026, 129 to 102. We're going to talk everything from blue collar boys to the rookies to your own sponsored segment on the other side of our first break. You already know Phoenix is one of the best sports cities in America. Duh, the Suns play here. But this spring, it's about to raise the bar to a whole other level. Of course, I'm talking about, for the first time ever, NASCAR and the NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend at Phoenix Raceway, and you can get a front row seat to it all. Not only can you get a front row seat, but you can get the best access in all of motorsports. Go inside the garage, walk the track, meet the drivers, and catch the pre-race concert. No sport brings fans closer, and if you upgrade to the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience, you get all of that plus more. You can watch the 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all just a couple of months prior. And again, this is March 5th through the 8th. NASCAR and the NTT IndyCar Series are on the same track, not at the same time, but the same day at Phoenix Raceway, March 5th through the 8th. Secure your seats now at the link in our description and go watch that rubber burn March 5th through the 8th. And look, you know who's never gonna burn you? The husband and wife law team, because they are here to take care of you when life becomes perilous. After an accident or a serious injury, you want to make sure that you hire the right lawyer. And luckily, the husband and wife law team, they make the choice easy. Mark and Alexis Breyer, they lead a team with hundreds of years of combined trial experience, multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death. And a certified specialist by the State Bar of Arizona is less than 1% of all lawyers in injury and wrongful death litigation. The practice is 100% dedicated to injury and wrongful death. There is no other choice but the husband and wife law team when life hits you with the unexpected. So right now, if you had a serious injury or you just want to prepare, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841. Again, write that number down, 602-783-8841, or visit their website at the link in our show notes and tell them that PHNX sent you. And again, be prepared for when life throws the unexpected your way. We all expected a win tonight. We all predicted the Suns to score at least 120 points, and that is exactly what they did. 129 to 102. Obviously, a couple other games coming up. We got Sunday's game against OKC, and then Monday. Monday's a big day for a couple of reasons, Gil. Because not only are the Phoenix Suns taking on the Houston Rockets for the third time this season, but we are also having our first watch party of the year. Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. This Monday, January 5th, catch the Suns, PHNX Suns live, pregame and postgame shows, food and drink specials, PHNX giveaways, immaculate vibes only, Steven's drinking quadruple whiskey neats, and Espo's buying everybody's drinks for free, their first drink. That is, I would say RSVP for free on our website, but we learned today that we got to actually put an RSVP button on there, so just show up. Just show up.
Be there.
Gila River Resorts and Casinos on Monday. Wild Horse Pass, Upper Deck, Kitchen, and Bar. We'll be there 30 minutes before tip-off for our pregame show, but we'll be there even before that if you want to come chop it up and then watch the game with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, super chat if you want to sponsor a segment later in the show. I promise you it will be worth it. But first, let's get to our blue collar boy of the night. This might have been the closest race of the season, but we had to give it to one man only. The connector, Oso Ighodaro. In 20 minutes tonight, Oso Ighodaro, 15 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, plus 14. And I saved the best for last.
Yes, you did.
5 of 5 from the free throw line. Gil, the confidence is oozing out of the second year rounder. Second year rookie, not true.
Yeah, you know, the first year I see it, second year, well, that is a thing. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there was one play, I think he like bounced it between his legs on a pass
to Collin, and then it ended up not going.
It ended up not going anywhere, but that was like a guy who's like playing freely. And I think that like he had a rough go Wednesday. We talked about it before the game. We wanted to see how he was going to respond to having a rough go on Wednesday. And he got a push shot to go. He was active. He was active in passing lanes. He was active defensively.
Oh, that block?
You know, like the block. I mean, he sent one to the office, basically. I caught it and had to send it back to the arena.
Should have been able to keep it.
Yeah, should have been able to keep it. Should have been able to keep the souvenir. But all that being said, I think just the confidence is big for him because we said, you know, we addressed the fact that some of the detractors to how he's been playing were valid.
Absolutely.
And it was absolutely valid. But we also said that, hey, this is on par for a second-year player who was taken when he was taken in the draft and had a lot to figure out in real time. And I think the biggest thing that's important from that is that it didn't hit his confidence. I don't know if somebody sat him aside and talked to him. I don't know if just going back and staying in the rotation where he is a big vote of confidence. But bouncing back and responding like that is very encouraging for him because we talked about growth and development for a player like that is not going to be linear, but this is a step in the right direction because he could easily have come off that poor game and just like put his head down and be like, oh man, I suck. But he's like, okay, I'm back. Let me do this. Easier opponent. We will admit that too. But that's how you get right. That's why they call it a get right game. You see somebody you get right and remind yourself, oh, I can do this against NBA competition. Let's see how he does it on Sunday because that's an opportunity for him to kind of show his versatility against a team like OKC.
Well, and we saw that earlier in the season. Oso was struggling. And look, if you go back and you listen to the show, you will hear a conversation between me and Espo about Oso Ighodaro needs to be out of the rotation. That is how bad he was playing. Yeah. He was playing awful. He wasn't doing anything positive for this team earlier in the season. Now, again, like you mentioned, growth isn't linear, but what really changed for him, where it clicked, was a game against one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference against the Indiana Pacers, where he had the third highest plus-minus in NBA history. He had his career high 17 points, which he almost matched tonight. And after that game, you saw it cascade. You saw it stockpile. Oso has continually gotten better. Now, maybe the line hasn't just been straight up, but since then, it's going in the right direction. Up, and then there's been dips, and then it's continued up.
Right.
There were a couple of things I was really impressed with tonight. His only missed field goal was that inbounds alley-oop at the end of the quarter. There was a play against the Wizards. You were off of that post-game. Espo and I were here that I highlighted on Twitter and on the show, where Oso Ighodaro played really, really good defense on CJ McCollum, forced a miss, stayed on his feet, dribbled the ball up the court, and then took Alex Sarr, who is a very good defender, who he had in a box that entire game, took Alex Sarr off the dribble, top of the key, with a right-to-left crossover, threw a pass to the left, hit Royce O'Neal for a three, right? I think actually those two things were reversed. I think he hit the pass and then he defended the shot, okay? You go to tonight. Oso Ighodaro dribbles up the court, crosses over Maxime Reynaud. I think I got his name right. Maybe not. I thought he was Spanish. I didn't think he was French. That's on me. Anyway,
bonjour.
That doesn't matter. Oso said bonjour in oui.
He did.
I will dunk on thee. He went from right to left, the same crossover that he had on Sarr, drives, but instead of looking to throw out a pass because Alex Sarr is on him, which I think was the right decision given the size mismatch and the defensive ability of Sarr, Oso says, get off me, little guy.
I lift.
I got you. And then goes up and dunks on him.
Yep.
Oso's gotten stronger this season. He's looking at the rim, which is a huge benefit and plus to his game. And just that same play happening twice in a 3-game span and him finishing it in two different ways, both pluses. One with an assist, a really tough assist out for a three, and one for a contact off the dribble dunk. If he continues to do these small things like he's able to do and improve like that, watch out, because he brings a really fun, unique skill set to this team.
No, 100%. And that play that you just mentioned made us all audibly yell. Like, we were so impressed with that in that moment because it's funny, like, to watch a player kind of just take steps towards, and like, we realize that's something that he can do with regularity. Like, there's probably going to be a point, if all things go the way they should, that's something that we aren't surprised by. And I think right now, the shock is like, oh, hey, you're realizing that you can do this because we know you're capable of doing it. Now you're realizing it. And that's like the scary part for other teams when a guy starts realizing their powers. And I think we're seeing that with Oso. Obviously, different matchups for a player like him are better than others, more advantageous than others, but that's anybody. But I think to your point, if he can continue to trend that way and realize the things that he does really well, the things he's capable of doing really well, and just consistently do it, that is a great 8th, 9th man to have on your team. A great guy to have in your big man rotation, especially given the uniqueness of his skill set, because it allows you to do things and run the offense a certain way that makes it tricky for a second unit.
Well, and that's the thing, is he's so different than the other centers the Suns have on the roster, right? I mean, Nick Richards excluded. We're not really going to include him on this. Obviously, he's different than Kaman Malawach. I think when you project forward with Kaman, the idea of both of those guys playing together with Oso Ighodaro initiating like we saw from him tonight, even though it didn't lead to assists, him initiating and dribbling the ball up the court, get a pick from Kaman Malawach if he can end up shooting. Holy crap. Completely different player than Mark Williams, bruising, bully, 7-foot+ center with a huge standing reach, great verticality, which Oso has, but he doesn't have the wingspan. Mark's not really dribbling the ball. He can be a facilitator, but not in the same way as Oso. He's a completely unique and different piece for this team. And he's the 40th overall pick. Right? And again, you're seeing this thing where he's doing it against worse teams, but what really impresses me, and I hate to harp on that one play because he played an overall great game, but I think it is such like a fascinating study on the matchups thing, because that's always been the conversation with Oso Ighodaro. It's a matchup dependent thing for Oso. And I think that's true right now, and I think these back-to-back games prove that. 0 points against the Cavaliers, 15 points tonight. Right? The Cavs, completely different interior defensive big man rotation than the Sacramento Kings. But the step for Oso is to start to balance out to be able to play against both. And I think Sarr and Reynaud, two completely different defensive centers. And that's the thing. These two Frenchmen, two completely different Frenchmen. But Oso goes to the same move, but does two different results at the end. And if he can begin to discern when to pick and choose on which of his positive skills he can rely on depending on the matchup, then he becomes a puzzle piece that I think Jordan Ott and company fall more in love with, because when you hear them talk about Oso Ighodaro, I don't think you ever hear a negative thing. Yeah,
and the puzzle piece part is important, because you talk about, hey, this team isn't a good matchup for him, or this isn't a good matchup for him. And I think the next step is what he can figure out to become a bad matchup for other people. And honestly, 35 games to his second year, I'm not expecting him to have that figured out, but I'm expecting him to kind of learn what that could be, to your point. And I think down the line, moving forward, doing those little things. And again, discovering his powers, discovering, hey, my playmaking kind of sets me apart from other bigs. Some bigs don't want to come out here and deal with what I have to do if I'm going to be a hub from these spots. And I can make our team thrive like that. And then it makes other teams think, oh man, we got to put a different kind of big on him. We can't run the lines we want to run because he's doing this. I don't necessarily know where he is in that process, because we mentioned the ups and downs a little bit, but we see it. We see flashes of it. And I think the next step in that process is punishing teams when they take advantage of that, because what we've seen is they'll make him like, okay, do something, and they cut everybody else off. And I think that is something he struggles with, but I can see him learning from that.
We saw one possession today where he like had to keep his dribble with one hand. He was kind of put in a very chaotic situation. I thought he handled himself well. I think that actually ended with him scoring too. And I think that's a really fascinating thing that you said, because I believe if you look at the long-term outcome of Oso Ighodaro, and I think this is a really fun conversation that we're having here, and I think the fact that we can have this conversation is a really big testament to him, is yes, he might be a struggle against some of these bigger centers, some of these more dominant inside forces, but if he can continue to lean into what makes him unique, then you're going to have to also be able to exploit the other way, where it's like, okay, now you can't deal with what Oso's bringing. And if you're getting that out of the 40th overall pick, right, that you can't ask for much more out of that guy. And again, he still continues to get better. And I think a really big part of that is the work that he's put in from the free throw line. 5 for 5 from the free throw line tonight.
Wasn't long ago we were joking around about it.
And you know what the thing I think is more impressive than him going 5 of 5? You could tell me if you see the same thing that I see here. It wasn't just like, oh, lucky bounces, and he just went 5 for 5. There's something about his shooting form that just looks better, smoother, more like confident from the line. Are you seeing that too? That it's not just the percentage, but it's how he's getting the percentage.
Yeah, the confidence part is big. And you know, I can't psychoanalyze somebody when they step to the free throw line, but you can see the look in their eyes when they step to the line. And funny enough, I'm gonna make this about myself for a quick second.
Do it.
I took 2 free throws in my college career at Wake Forest. We won for 2. But they have a screenshot from that game. I looked terrified. But like you can see a guy when they step to the line, if they look confident, and he had that look in his face. And obviously we talk so much about this team outside of him. They put in a lot of work in the practice facility. And I can tell this is a guy who was not satisfied with how well he was shooting. Quite frankly, frustrated with the way he was shooting from the free throw line. And you can see the work being put in and paying off. Does that mean he's going to go never miss a free throw again?
Yeah.
Probably not. Yeah, I hope so. Just like, you know, if maybe if every game was against the Kings, he would never miss a free throw again.
Right.
But and there's probably going to be some games where he might go 2 for 5. But I think the confidence is a step in the right direction to where we've seen it before in the past. Guys turn the corner and go from being poor free throw shooters to being respectable and solid from the line. And games like this don't happen by mistake.
Confidence is the key word when it comes to Ighodaro. Shout out Rolando Blackman. Confidence, baby, confidence in the 1983 All-Star game, shooting free throws for the win. You see it in everything that we talked about today. If you go back and you listen to the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes that we've talked about Ighodaro, every single thing that we've talked about stems back to one word, and that's confidence. Off the dribble dunking on somebody and having 2 different counters on your crossover, that's confidence. The floaters, the 5 of 6 from the field, that's confidence, right? The rebounding, going in and crashing, 6 boards for him. That's a good night, including an offensive board. That's confidence. And then the free throw line, 5 of 5. He continues to become who we all thought he could be, and who he wasn't at the beginning of the season. And that's impressive. He wasn't the only impressive guy tonight. There were a lot of contenders for blue collar boy of the night. We'll keep it rolling while we wait for our own blue collar boy, Steven. We'll be calling in live from the morgue for the first time in a while, and the first time in 2026. And we'll do all that on the other side of our final break. You hear the name, the Window Depot, and you think, great, a quality place to buy windows at a great price with a large inventory. And you know what? You'd be exactly right, but it doesn't stop there. The Window Depot since 2002 has been offering a variety of things, and today you can get windows, doors, skylights, cabinets, countertops, sinks, and more with tons of inventory in stock and ready for pickup. Here's the thing. Contractors love the Window Depot for their job site ready quantities, unbeatable prices, expert service, and no membership required. And the holidays are over, so now is the perfect time to kick off that home renovation project. And you do it with 7 locations across Arizona and windows proudly manufactured right here in state. Plus, you can also shop online and get pickup in store. You can browse and order directly with real-time access to in-stock products at your nearest location and get what you need when you need it. Visit thewindowdepot.com to get started on your next project today, or stop by one of the Window Depot's 7 Arizona locations and see for yourself why they're more than just a window store. And of course, Bet365. Now look, I came into tonight on a hot streak. 2 bets hit in a row, and tonight, well, I got hosed by the PHNX Suns being damn good. I was 1 rebound shy. By the way, Sean Shop in the chat said, Eric, you're going to miss it by one rebound. He said that in pregame.
The lottery numbers. Help me out with something. Predict something else.
I needed 1 more rebound from Mark Williams. I would have hit 3 in a row. I would have been in the positive. But I've been better, and of course, it's always amazing over at Bet365. I love how they always step up their game. The interface is fantastic. They always tell you exactly what the last 5 games of that player has been for. The prop bet that you're going to hit, which I love from them. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP at 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Big shout out to everybody hanging out with us here on a Friday night, Friday, January 2nd, as the PHNX Suns rung in the new year, 129-102, with a win over the Sacramento Kings, 20 wins on the season, the fastest since the 2020-2021 season. A great night all around. We've talked about Devin Booker. We've talked about Ighodaro. I'd like to speak a little bit about Mark Williams tonight. Before looking at the box score, Mark Williams, I'm just going to tell you a couple of things, okay? 22 minutes, 15 points, 9 rebounds. How many of Mark Williams' 15 points came at the free throw line?
I'm not even going to act like I didn't see it already. I already memorized it. Or else I was going to play like, I don't know. Like,
You never forgot this one.
8 or 9? But yeah, no, it was 9.
It was 9 of 11 from the free throw line, 3 of 4 from the field. An ultra efficient night for Mark Williams.
He took 4 shots. That's crazy. I mean, he got fouled on.
Right, and that's the thing is Sacramento was afraid of him.
Yeah.
Interiorly in the paint. We talk about a great bounce back game from Oso in 22 minutes of 15 and 9. I could have used that one extra rebound. Great night for Mark.
No, great night for him. And again, that goes back to what we were saying. How are you going to respond? You played against a team who neutralized you. Now you have a chance to get right before 2 huge, actual big matchups for you.
Literally, yeah.
Literally big matchups. Get your groove back to go into it. And you mentioned Maxime Reynaud, not necessarily known for his physicality. Played with force. He played with force and brought it to them. And they were just like, man, we got nothing for you. We're just going to rake your arms.
Yeah,
and like,
literally.
We're just going to, that's all we got for you.
That's what they were saying.
And we talked about this early on. Book, among others, were making a concerted effort to get Mark Williams the ball, whether it was him sealing, just run down the court and sealing smaller guys, whatever it was. I liked that mentality because there's nothing else like to get you out of a funk than just force feeding you the ball. Because think about it, there was fight night, there was suspension, there was a rough game. So he really kind of was out of a rhythm.
It was a tough road trip for Mark.
It's been a while since we really saw him do much. So
great night from him.
Yeah.
I mean, great night from him. And Killer Rex in the chat, every once in a while, it's like a broken clock's right twice a day. Like Killer Rex with a great point of like saying, hey, like they need to get him the ball more. And I do agree. I do think that needs to be a concerted effort from them to continue to give him the ball, but I do believe it's getting better, and that's the most important thing. He always runs the court no matter what. He's got great hands to catch the ball and great hands on the defensive side of the ball. A steal and a block tonight. Every single game, it feels like his quick hands come in handy, pun intended. Just all in all, an extremely solid center, 30 points from the Suns center rotation tonight, and a plus 21 in their minutes. And obviously they don't share the floor, right? And the Suns won by 27 points tonight. So pretty big night for them. Another guy that was in contention for Blue Collar Boy of the Night, Royce O'Neal. Now you might be saying, Eric, Royce O'Neal, 7 points and 1 of 5 from deep on the night? How about a game high plus 21?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 stocks. By far and away, his best defensive game of the season. 3 blocks, 2 steals, started off rip. He was on one on defense tonight.
Yeah, you pointed it out earlier. I think it was like a strip that he had that led to an opportunity in transition. You're like, oh, that was good defense from Royce. And we kind of said it matter-of-factly, but then that was something he consistently did as the game went on. So thinking about that and him just kind of setting the tone like that and being active with his hands, being all over the place with what he was doing, and the 5 stocks show that. And I think, we rag on him when it's deserved, but also credit where it's due tonight. And also, crazy enough, he played a team high 30 minutes in the game.
Nobody played more. Royce O'Neal was eating tonight.
Yeah, nobody played more than him tonight either. I know is he the oldest player in the rotation?
Yeah, in the rotation right now, yeah.
Oldest player?
Yeah, I think he's the oldest player on the team.
Right?
Yeah, he's the oldest player on the team. I believe he's 31 years old, which
is a great age to be.
Kind of crazy that he's the oldest guy on the team at like 31 years old.
Doesn't make me feel old at all.
Yeah, not at all, man. Yeah. Big meal Royce O'Neal also had a one-handed dunk tonight. You sent me all of Royce's dunks from the season because I couldn't believe you said it was his 6th dunk?
Fourth
dunk.
Okay.
Both.
What, second of the week?
That's crazy.
Second of the week.
Both Royce O'Neal and Devin Booker have dunked way more than I thought they were going to this year. But Royce really put in a great effort tonight.
Is way more than you.
I thought that was his first dunk of the season. I'm not messing around. I thought it was his first dunk of the season.
It was his first one-handed dunk of the season.
Yeah, that's true. I want to answer a really random question in chat. Aaliyah says, hey, I just noticed that the Suns stopped wearing the Valley jerseys. I think you did the research on this. Big break, but I believe this is the Valley jersey month. We're going to see them a lot.
We'll see them a lot, and I think the Knicks game is when we'll see them next.
Okay.
Because I was like, man,
it's been a while.
I was like, they haven't worn them since I've gotten here. They want to
really?
Yeah, they want to make me wait.
Make you earn it. By the way, I want to point out something before we get to some clips here. I'm really proud of you.
Are you?
First segment. I see a look in your eyes, a little smile on your face now. First segment. I meant to point this out earlier. You said our schedule. Yeah. Like our team.
Yeah.
Our Suns. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. That's what
I like.
That is what I like.
I feel like on my first show, I got somebody asked, "Are you a Suns fan?" And I didn't really answer the question straightforward. Basically, I was a fan free agent, and I was signing 1+1s with a bunch of teams.
Okay.
And basically, I signed an indefinite deal. So there you go. And also,
you kind of got to be like you're here.
One, and also like the Suns schedule is our schedule too.
That is true.
Like,
that is
also,
true. Yeah.
But I really meant it that
And
way.
the Suns are, they're easy to root for this year. A couple guys that are really easy to root for, and I think that we could give them all their own 15-minute conversations, but obviously we don't have time for that. We got some clips to get to. Steven will call in. We got some other segments here tonight. Collin Gillespie, 15 points. Not the most efficient night for him, but 6 of 14 from the field, 3 and 9 from deep. Yeah. 8 consecutive games of 15-plus points for Collin Gillespie. He also added 7 rebounds and assists total, so 5 assists, 2 rebounds, and 3 steals tonight, plus 20 for him. It felt like he was really good at when do we need a bucket, when do we need a 3, when do we need to shift momentum.
Yeah.
He did that tonight.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody kind of points out the irony of saying something's a timely bucket. It's always a good time to get a bucket. But the timely buckets that he had, the timeliness of them of like, oh, we need one here, or like, it's in this drought, or let me just stay involved, let me make the defense continue to worry about me. That definitely was his case tonight.
Well, and I was, so peek behind the scenes, right? I was really upset about how big the Suns are winning by because they took out Mark Williams at 22 minutes and I needed one more rebound. So I was like, can the Kings keep it to like 15, maybe 10? Mark checks in for 5 minutes. Plus 5 in those 5 minutes, checks out, then we're good, right? Like that's again, I wouldn't root for that against other teams that would have maybe had a chance to close the game if it was close, but it was the Kings. We were never losing this game, right? So Collin Gillespie's on the floor, and Collin Gillespie's a really big part of why they built that big lead when the starter sat in the third quarter. And it was the first time this season I was like, come on, dude. Like, could you not?
Chill out a little bit.
Could you not, man? I'm trying to get in the positive here. I just need one more rebound. But at the end of the day, a good game from Collin. A great game from Jamaree Bouyea, who is also in contention for Blue Collar Boy of the Night. 23 minutes tonight. His 7th double-digit game of the season. I think the broadcast said 10th. That's wrong. He's had a couple 9-point games, but it's his 7th double-digit game of the season for the Suns. 12 points, 6 of 9 from the field.
Yeah.
Nice. 6 rebounds and assists. 4 steals, also a plus 20 tonight. 3 players plus 20 or higher tonight. Jamaree Bouyea, Collin Gillespie at plus 20, and Royce O'Neal at plus 21. Jamaree Bouyea, it is going to be a problem to not give this guy minutes when Jalen Green and Grayson Allen are back, but it's a good problem.
You know what's so cool? We just talked about Jordan Goodwin, Jamaree Bouyea, Royce O'Neal, and Collin Gillespie.
Yeah.
None of those guys heard their names called on draft night.
No.
And here they are playing very, very crucial minutes, having a crucial role for a team that has real aspirations to finish among the top 6 in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
At some point, I want to do like a thought exercise and actually crunch the numbers, and I'm just going to count all the undrafted guys as 61 to like see like the average draft position of guys on this team. Because not only are these guys like, oh, I found my NBA home. It's like, oh, I found my NBA home, and I am having a positive impact on this team on a nightly basis, and it's like not a fluke at all.
So Devin Booker, end of lottery. Mark Williams,
I think he was like end of lottery, like right outside of it.
End of lottery. Dillon Brooks, I believe, end of the first round.
No, that's like 40. He was like 45th.
45th, so second round. Dunn, end of the first round. Oso, 40th pick. Isaiah Livers, I think he was a draft pick. I don't remember where. I think he was a second round draft pick. I mean, Kamal Malawach is the highest pick player on the team. Yep. Rasheer's a second round. Jamaree's undrafted. Goodwin's undrafted. Nigel
Jalen Green's
Jalen Green, Jalen Green 4th. Yeah, my bad. He's not on the roster that I'm looking at right now, but yeah, Jalen Green. They might have one of the lower averages.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you think about it. I think
that's a good point. We should do that.
I think it's 3 lottery picks on the team.
You
Green,
should
Malawach. I'll do it. Malawach, Green.
Sounds like a little too much work for
Book.
me.
I think those are the only lottery picks on the team. That's like
was Mark not a lottery
15th.
15th?
So right outside.
So right outside the lottery. Speaking of the lottery, 5 members in the chat just hit the lottery because Paisley gave 5 gift memberships. So let's get a nice little chant in here.
MVP. MVP. MVP.
Also, Deborah, we got your super chat. You are the sponsor of our segment. We'll get there in a second. We're going to get to some sound here very shortly from Oso, from Jordan Ott, and from Devin Booker. Plus, we will also hear from Steven. Any other individual players you want to give love to tonight? I know, Mark, you have a question about Ryan Dunn being point guard in garbage time. We'll talk about that when Steven's in here. I think it'd be good to get his perspective on that. Any other takeaways from this game, players you want to talk about?
Let's talk about garbage time real quick. Because you mentioned that we were going to talk about this in very book fashion from cover to cover.
Yes.
So those last 5:59, 6 minutes, we saw some cool
flashes.
things
Saw some
from
flashes.
Rasheer and man.
And some fun, just overall synergy. You mentioned the play that was BLOWOUT to Goodwin to Bouyea. We saw Bouyea dunk. Some of those steals came in garbage time. It's fun that this team does feel so connected, so aligned, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Even when they're playing garbage time, these guys don't play minutes together that often. Come on, BLOWOUT tonight in 5 minutes. Again, 5 minutes, but 4 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, and a block. One of those rebounds offensive. Had a turnover, got ripped. He doesn't have the strongest hands in the paint, but what I really liked was on that offensive rebound, he went right back up with it without bringing it down, which was a problem that we saw earlier in the year. Every time he's on the court, he makes a difference simply because of his size. We also saw Rasheer do the same thing. He logged a block and a rebound in his 6 minutes tonight. I mentioned it when we were watching the game, but the idea of Rasheer and Kaman and Mark sharing the court together at the same time, buddy. And then it's like Dillon Brooks can play the 2 in that lineup. Yeah. And then Devin Booker or Collin Gillespie or Jalen Green can play the 1 as your like offensive engine.
Jumbo. Yeah, I mean, I know we're a ways away from that.
A long ways.
We're a long ways away from that, but men can dream. But that putback is what I want to talk about because it looked a little awkward. Right. And this is a guy who's still learning how to play the game. And that's crazy. Think about this. He's still learning how to play the game in the absolute best basketball league in the world.
Yeah.
And making his presence felt. Because, like, yeah, it's garbage time, but it's garbage time in an NBA game. He's playing against NBA players. He catches the rebound, was a little off balance, kind of turned as he was going in the air. And there was a feathery touch on that. And it sounds like I'm just like kind of grasping for things. But genuinely, this is what teams see when they invest in somebody who they think can make an exponential leap at some point in their development. What kind of touch do they have? What kind of second burst do they have? Can they get an offensive rebound and go back up quickly? Can, in the case of this kind of awkward-looking offensive rebound putback, can they square up in midair? And to see somebody do that, like the next time he does it, he might miss. But the fact that he's even thinking to do that at some point down the line when that exponential jump happens, we're going to be sitting here talking, hey, you remember that time against the Kings where he did this?
The building block.
It's a building block. So, if it's 5 minutes and, the last time he got garbage time wasn't as much to write home about. In fact, some things we were a little disappointed with. So it's going to be a thing with a guy as young as he is, as basketball is still as fresh as it is for him. It's going to be moments like this, teaching moments or building blocks. And whatever it is we see, it's important to acknowledge and talk about that moving forward because whether it's with the Valley Suns, whether it's in garbage time with the NBA team, and down the line, it's all part of the bigger picture of him making the impact that they envision him making once they get to that point.
I think Shane Young wrote a great piece for the Suns where he talked to Kaman BLOWOUT, and BLOWOUT acknowledged that this is going to be a long process. Like he is in for the long haul. This is a true developmental pick, but at the worst, I really do believe in his career he will be an elite interior defender simply because of his size and his athleticism. Everything else I do believe is possible. I think his touch is there. I think his rebounding is there. I think his shot can be there. I think his offensive creation can be there. But at a minimum, he's going to be a walking, stifling tower in the paint, but way more likable than Rudy Gobert. Like a great book, we went cover to cover. Let's go ahead and let's reread it. Let's go back to the beginning of the show and let's talk Devin Booker. Well, actually, let's hear from Devin Booker. Book on his night tonight.
Yeah, just trying to create an advantage. Create advantage for our team, whether that's me scoring or, it leads to an open shot. So, like you said, just realizing what defense it is and, the quicker, we can make a decision. If it's 2 on the ball, just play advantage ball on the backside. If I feel like, I have a matchup that I like, score the basketball, so doing it in different ways to keep the defense on their heels.
So Devin Booker now for the 29th time in his career had a 20-point quarter. That was him specifically talking about the first quarter. I think the interesting thing that he brought up is seeing what defense they send there. I don't know what the hell Doug Christie is smoking just in general. I think that can just be a blanket statement there. But they were leaving Booker at single coverage there. As a player, if your coach is watching another player torch you like Devin Booker was torching them, and says, we're going to stick to man-to-man coverage, one-on-one coverage, single coverage. What's going through your head?
Are you for real? Like, okay.
Especially if you're the one guarding.
Yeah, right. Like,
what's going on, man?
Can I get some help? Help me, please. Help me. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to hear Book say it that way because one of the things that we mentioned already with this performance and the breakthrough, so to speak, is the mentality that you can see him playing with. There's no hesitance. There's just him being confident, getting to the spots he wants to get to. And it's interesting because you kind of see on a micro level, sometimes you see a guy hits a shot and he gets an open look or two, and now he's seen it go through, so it doesn't matter what you send at him, which that happened tonight.
Yeah.
But I think on a macro level, a guy who's struggling has a couple good games you string together or a couple good halves that you string together, and then it doesn't matter what defense he's playing against. It doesn't matter if you're playing against a team or a couple teams who get a little more leeway with their physicality. Now you're like, okay, it doesn't matter. Hold my arm. But if there's a play tonight where Dennis Schroeder fouled Book like 4 times, they didn't call the blow the whistle like the 5th time, and gets an and one.
Book's cut on his arm is about. I wasn't here on the last post-game show, but my God, I would have had a whole.
I mentioned it because Espo said, "Hey, the Suns scratched and clawed." Said, "No, the Cavs scratched and clawed. Look at Devin Booker's arm." So yeah, I think that's the thing that, like, just thinking on a macro level of like, okay, him stringing these performances together. Throw away the first half in Cleveland, but the second half in Cleveland, the first 3 quarters tonight, being able to rest in the 4th quarter, he'll take that moving forward because it gets tougher. The defenses get tougher. They get much more physical. And for a guy who already doesn't have a great whistle, that could be frustrating. But we talked about with him, it's important that he keeps level head, doesn't pick up any text, doesn't get caught kind of hanging back and complaining about it, and just plays through it, and hopefully making some shots allows him to do that.
Speaking of text, really quick sidebar here. Dillon Brooks picked up his 12th technical foul tonight. I think an overall really good Dillon Brooks game, 18 points, 8 of 14 from the field. We mentioned
they might rescind it, I hope.
I think they should. It seemed like a pretty normal conversation. Yeah. Now, obviously, it depends on what Dillon Brooks said. But at the end of the day, I think he just gets such a bad whistle because he is Dillon Brooks. Back to Devin Booker, though. Coach Ott talked about Book's opening quarter performance, and Coach Ott was locked in today, too. If you saw pregame, he had the Dillon stare. But this is what he had to say about Book.
Intent early to be aggressive, take what the defense was showing him. He had a good stretch early, and I thought right at the end of the first quarter he could feel it. We all could feel just his overall ability to do whatever he basically wanted outside the arc or inside the arc, and those are good starts. You come off a road trip, 4-game road trip over the holidays. You worry a little bit about juice or energy, and when your best player plays like that early, it really sets a great tone.
Yeah, it really did set a great tone. Speaking of setting tones, Matt to the Power of Joe, one of our members here, sent a $1.99 super chat, says people calling for a Book trade can suck it.
In all caps.
In all caps. Speaking of super chats, Deborah, we'll get to yours later. We will end the show with that sponsored segment. But speaking of sucking it, Ighodaro saying suck it to his haters. This is him talking about defensively the switching process for the team and for himself.
For sure. That's the biggest thing that Jail's been on me about. Just switching and staying in front's not good enough. He wants me to be a dominant defender. He wants me to be a guy that switches on and people want to give the ball up. So he's on me about that all the time. Like sometimes I get a stop. I think I'm good, and I look over there, and he wants more, which is what I want. So he wants me to jump out there, be super aggressive, and just really use my talents on defense in every single possession. So that's what I've been trying to do.
Now I think there's a mistake. He said, use my talents on defense. He did that tonight. The box score says 2 steals. I think he picked up a 3rd. I think he stole your sweatshirt.
Yeah, I wore it on the program first also. I'm sorry. And I mean, we'll let the people decide who wore it better.
Are you?
I don't know.
You calling out Ighodaro, man?
Nah, it's all love. We had to bring him back down. We said so much.
McGregor versus the Connector.
We said so much good about his performance. But it's a good looking sweater. Honestly, it lets me know I did something right with my sweater.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that too.
There you go. Look, we're gonna get Steven on here in just a second, but first, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings presented by Phoenix Raceway. Join our friends at the Phoenix Raceway the weekend of March 5th through the 8th at the link in our description. The race to the Western Conference is the toughest one in the NBA. The Phoenix Suns currently in that 7th seed. Now, of course, if they're in the Eastern Conference, I don't know, they'd probably be like the 1 seed at this point. 20-14 on the season. They're a game behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are 21-13, a game and a half behind the Los Angeles Lakers, 3 games behind the Denver Nuggets. And that's weird. The Houston Rockets are ahead of the Nuggets in the standings, but technically have a worse games back for the Suns. They're 2.5 games back from the Rockets. That's not too bad, man. 2.5 games back from the 3 seed In the West, of course, the second seed's the Spurs, the 1 seed's OKC. You're taking on 2 of the top 3 seeds here in your next 2 games. Right under Phoenix at 2.5 games below them is the Golden State Warriors at 18 and 17. Memphis Grizzlies 15 and 18. You'll be seeing them soon as well. They are a good amount of games behind the Suns. Then rounding out the play-in is the Portland Trailblazers at 15 and 20. We don't need to worry about outside the play-in until the Clippers keep up their winning ways. Yeah, they've been playing really, really well. The Lakers are frauds. They're 20 and 11, and they're the only team in the last 30 years in NBA history who are 20 and 11 with a negative point differential.
When you put it that way.
FRAUDS.
You know, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back too much, but when the Suns went to LA beginning of December, Lakers were on a winning streak. I said they haven't really played anybody, and they definitely haven't seen anybody like the Suns. I'm just saying they're doing what solid teams do, and they're beating up on bad teams, but I haven't really seen them do it. And I know they've dealt with injuries, but everybody's dealing with injuries. And that being said, when you talk about that little cluster of teams in the West, Houston, they've won. They're playing pretty well as of late, but the Nuggets, 4 of their 5 starters are injured. Who knows how much of a free fall they
lost tonight by 5 to Cleveland.
So who knows what kind of free fall comes from that? Lakers are going to continue to be up and down. Timberwolves are a team. You're right on their heels. And specific to the Timberwolves and the Lakers, right now, 2-0 against Timberwolves, 2-1 against the Lakers.
Yeah.
In the case of some type of tiebreaker, you have the advantage. So I do think that that's a good cluster to find yourself in when you're looking up and then looking down. I don't know why I actually looked up and looked down. I don't know. I'm miming it out right now. I'm really feeling it. But when you look down, you have this 2.5 game cushion over the Warriors. The Grizzlies are still trying to get back to 500. So long as you keep this cushion, staying over 500, you want to get out of the play-in tournament, but it's keeping that distance from those other teams is a really good feeling.
Yeah, it feels like a proverbial lock that they'll be in the play-in. Obviously, like knock on wood, a lock could happen, but this team hasn't had good health, and they've still been able to find themselves at 6 games above 500. I don't really understand how they're only 2.5 games ahead of the Warriors, who are only 1 game above 500. That doesn't really make sense to me. Plus, the Warriors on a downward trajectory. They rested all 3 of their stars against Oklahoma City tonight. They lost by a ton.
Lame.
Just kind of looking around right now at the time that we are talking, the Lakers are leading the Grizzlies 105-101.
One of those teams is going to lose, and it helps you either way.
Yeah, either way it helps you. I think you would prefer the Lakers to lose, but again, that means Memphis is playing better, and you play Memphis coming up here right after you face off against Oklahoma City and the Rockets. Denver, like you mentioned, could absolutely be in a free fall. Minnesota, also not a team that has done super well against teams above 500 this season, and as these schedules continue to go on and get harder, well, then guess what? They're probably going to lose more games. So it's definitely going to be interesting. $2 super chat from B says, nah, Hoodie Gill got it. Sorry, Oso.
Bees. Appreciate you.
That's huge. We're still waiting for Steven to call in here. Let's get another clip from Jordan Ott. Jordan Ott on their slow defensive starts, but the ability to change course.
Did not like our pick and roll defense to start the game. It's one thing just to say we're in a certain coverage. It's another one to impact the offense. And they can't feel like they can just get to any spot that they want. Did not like it to start. Again, I think the second quarter we changed some of that. No coverage change, just intent, purpose, force defensively. And then coming out of the locker room, it's an overall team just energy or effort, like thinking, like we want to come in here, and they're on the second night of back-to-back. So you don't want them to hang around. They have incredible all-time scorers on that team. You don't want to get into something in the fourth quarter where, it's a 50-50 game and they're able to make shots and get to the free throw line. So I think just our idea or our thinking to come out of that locker room was really good.
The most fascinating thing that he said, which is amazing to listen to a real head coach, which we have one for sure, is there was no coverage change, just intent, just knowing that if we ran hard and we shored up what we had to do, we could beat them. That's not just competitiveness. That goes back to the other C word that we were talking about with Oso. That's confidence in yourself, that you have it within yourself to make that change and not have to wildly adjust to put the beat down on this team.
Yeah, I was saying now that's basically it. Like, to stick with it and just be like, hey, look, this is what this team does. This is what you do. And honestly, you're better than what you've shown. fix it, and tell them to fix it, and then them fixing it. That's big.
Yeah, that is big. Real quick here before we get to Steven, he mentioned they have some all-time great scorers. You're asking me, why was Russell Westbrook still in the game? And I told you, I was like, he's stat padding. That's what he's been doing this whole year on the Kings. He's on a bad team. He's just trying to get his stats, which more power to him. He's rising up on the all-time list. Literally tonight, moved into 15th all-time in scoring. But look, from one all-time great to another, it's been quite some time since we opened up the crypt, went to the morgue, and checked in with our guy, Steven Prejean Garner. Man, hope you had a great Christmas. Hope you had a great New Year. It was awesome to get your coverage back in the building today. And Steven, it's amazing to have you back here on the show. Before we talk basketball, just want to know, did you have a good New Year? Did you have a good Christmas? Good time back home with the family?
Yeah, I definitely did, man. Appreciate it. Good to see y'all again. I got a lot of sleep.
Good.
As you should. And well deserved.
I averaged Russell Westbrook numbers in terms of triple doubles with my sleep.
Stat padding.
Like 8.5, almost 9 hours over them 12 days. So I was getting after it for sure. But yeah, I got to spend time with the family outside and making sure I got my sleep. All is well, man. How y'all doing?
Dude, doing really great. Feeling better because the Suns rang in the new year with a massive victory over the Kings. I know that a lot of people say, oh, it's just the Kings, right? But the Suns really did take care of business on a variety of different fronts. What was it like in the building, energy-wise and just observationally, when you knew that it was going to be a Devin Booker type of night?
Yeah, I think in the arena, as far as the fans go, there was a little bit of uneasiness just because look at who's available for the Kings and what their record is, even when they're healthy. And it's like, all right, this is a team that the Suns should take care of. And that first quarter wasn't the easiest in terms of the flow. There was a ton of buckets that Devin got himself, but there also was a ton of buckets that they gave up in that first quarter as well. So there's a little bit of uneasiness. And then naturally you get to closer to halftime, and then especially in that third quarter, they start to create that separation and look like the team that's earned back the trust and buy-in from all of their fans here in Phoenix. And they did what they did and made it a significant blowout.
Yeah, you mentioned Book and his buckets kind of invigorating everybody around there. You talked a lot about his process, specifically on the timeline tonight. What were you most impressed by his process and what he did offensively tonight?
Yeah, so the last couple of seasons, especially with Christie and even before Christie when Mike Brown was there, they like to just send outright blitzes at Devin. Now, they did get to that in the third quarter today, but in that first quarter, it was more of the soft blitzes, and honestly, it was more so switches that he was going up against in that first quarter. I think his process just running the action, whether he's on the ball, let's just say he's off the ball to start. He comes off a handoff, gets the ball, sees that he has a switch, passes it to a teammate that gets it back to him, which allows for him to attack with the live dribble. And just going to get a paint touch and making an assist, and then the other times going and screening on the ball and then getting a switch and scoring from there. Like, he's really processing the game very well. I don't think people understand or appreciate, rather, just how easy the game kind of comes from him, because he was making all these high-level reads, and there was a snappy cadence. There was a lot less catch and hold and a lot more catch and go. And him not allowing for a defense to catch up to the things that he's forced their hand to make them do in terms of decisions, it's what makes him great. And then also the skill to execute off of the advantages that he does create. So Devin's really, really, really good. And I think this last couple of weeks is starting to remind people just why he's arguably the best shooting guard in the NBA.
Steven, Ighodaro.
Great question. That is a sensational question, man. You're really getting good at this, you know.
I'm trying. I'm just trying to be like you, my guy.
Oso's fun, man. Oso is a lot of fun. He's a dude that is clearly coachable, but he's also clearly challengeable within that coaching as well. Honestly, that's even independent of coaching, because we've heard about Dillon Brooks challenging him to be more assertive and put his impact on the game, have a little bit more nasty to him. We saw the block in the third quarter, I think it was, where he sent the ball to like the second row of the stands and then just watched it as it bounced off of a fan's head because it came at him so quick. he's really in a good space right now. I think his teammates are buying into the developments that have taken place for him. And I think that's also being matched with his confidence. We're seeing him put the ball in the deck. That's not new. But what is new is the force that he's playing with. I think the grab and go caught a lot of people's attention. But I think not just that part of it. Collin Gillespie's coming in to set a drag screen for him, an inverted drag screen. He takes one dribble to set up his matchup and then rejects it. And doesn't just go and reject, but he goes and hits him on the way to the basket. That playing with force, I think you mentioned it on the timeline, Gil. So where we love to use that force, I'm hitting first and then I'm dunking on you to get the N1 to complete that sequence. I think that's a peek into just kind of the space that he's operating in confidence-wise. And then the defensive end, which is where he gets the most attention. The switches, man. Eric, we spent a lot of time talking about it last year when he was granted opportunity via minutes. He wasn't just out there switching and guys are blowing past him. He's switching and impacting the basketball, funneling guys to a certain pocket of the court, getting stops, and adding value. And that's what we see in tonight's game. I think fourth game this year where he's had 4 or 3 or more stocks. In all 4 of those games where he's had 3 or more stocks, they're undefeated. That's not by happenstance.
Yeah, you just pointed out what he did defensively, and we talked a little bit about just turning the game basically over in the second half, pulling away. And one thing me and Eric talked about was the accountability across the board. What did you see defensively, kind of how they dial it up a notch in the second half to really pull away and really make this one out of reach?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all played the clip from Jordan not yet, but he wasn't a fan of he wasn't a fan of the first quarter defense, especially in the pick and roll, but just generally wasn't a fan at all. They got it going, but they showed up to the party late again on the defensive end of the floor. That's not something that's going to get a win against Oklahoma City on Sunday. It's not going to get a win on the road against Houston on Monday either. They have to find ways to navigate games better by setting a better tone, starting with their identity side, which is defense. So what I kind of saw was them just not being able to contain the basketball early, and that bled into possession after possession, which also bled into guys now getting beat on backdoor cuts. A lot of the things that are not typical for the kind of cachet that they've shown to have on that end. And once they got it back rolling, they were solid, but you can't put yourself in those positions if you're talking about trying to win games against some of these teams that are ahead of you in the Western Conference. So I feel like that was the kind of biggest telltale. When they got their bearings, we saw the team that we expected to see. I think we all had a similar prediction in terms of record or a score for this game. And that's where they got to be at from the jump ball, from the tip-off, not just after the first quarter.
Last thing specifically on Oso Ighodaro, just because the only part that we haven't talked about his game, at least with you, is 5 for 5 for the free throw line for him. I don't think he's going to be shooting 100% going forward. I'm assuming you don't feel the same way, but do you think that this recent improved stretch from the free throw line is somewhat sustainable for him?
Yeah, I think it is. It might not be this is just what it is going forward. There might be another valley and then another peak, and then he kind of finds a middle ground within all of that. That's what skill development is. It's not linear. It's not always, I work on this. This is now a part of my game. It's going to come with some challenges in it. And I think we've seen him kind of work through those over the course of the season, even going back to last season in his rookie year. I think that's going to be a part of his game where if he's not spacing the floor, not shooting threes, not shooting middies, some of the things that people are wanting to see from him, if he's able to just continue to put pressure on the rim, like we saw in tonight's game, that's enough. Because if he's putting pressure and playing with that force and hitting guys and getting to the free throw line, I think Jordan not mentioned it in the postgame, that allows for you to set your defense. It puts guys or puts opposing teams in a penalty, and now that helps guys like Devin Booker do their job more easily or puts more pressure on opponents to defend without fouling. So also kind of gaining his growth there is important for the team. And I think this is something that he can sustain. Might not be right now, but I think it's going to happen in time because of how he works at it.
I'll say last one for me, we talked about it and kind of laughed about it. Dillon Brooks, 18 points, 8 of 14 shooting, and it was kind of quiet. Could you imagine beginning of the year if I told you Dillon Brooks would have a quiet 18 points on 8 of 14 shooting?
Definitely couldn't. And if you told me that Jalen Green wasn't playing as well, I would say, yeah, there's no way that goes quietly. Yet and still it was. It was literally a subplot in
Yeah.
today's game, which is crazy considering how loud his scoring has been for pretty much the entire season so far. And I think that speaks to the strength in numbers dynamic. Eric, we got trolled on Twitter about saying the Suns had depth, and everybody was asking where. And here we are at the where point of the season, a little bit past the first quarter, and all of a sudden the Suns have all these guys that people love talking about that aren't their star players. Just go back and apologize and say maybe those PHNX guys know what they're talking about.
Look, man, I think if we ran back, like if we just like aired like reruns of our summer podcasts like at night during the season, it would just be hours of where Eric and Steven were right. Just because like we said all these, people are like, you can't just do an episode about Collin Gillespie, a full episode about Collin Gillespie. Screw you. Yeah, we can.
Right.
He's worth it.
Now everybody doing full episodes of Collin. Guess what? We were ahead of the curve again.
Trendsetters.
Look, I do have one more thing for you here before we let you go. And great stuff as always in your first night back here. Good friend Mark in the chat wanted to know what we thought about Jordan not using garbage time to experiment a little bit with Ryan Dunn at point guard. Did you pick up anything from those stretch of minutes at the end?
Yeah, I think that's a game where people kind of turn their brain off once it gets to the garbage time, the proverbial garbage time. Understandable, but those are moments where if you can sustain certain styles of play, that's something that could potentially translate. Those are still game reps. And for Ryan, if you're trying to figure out how you can feature him within an offense, if he's on the floor with three to four other players that are above average at scoring at their positions, and he can initiate offense and have those guys start off the ball, that changes a lot for you. Similarly, if you're talking about the Suns going up against Oklahoma City on Sunday, that's a team that has guys that have never blinked at pressing guys full court, picking guys up in the backcourt. Is someone going to pick up Ryan Dunn full court? If they don't, how does that margin allow for the Suns to get into the half-court offense quicker? Get into the offense quicker, create more advantages. Maybe Ryan Dunn just goes to get a paint touch because he can blow by guys, especially when he has it in his left hand. So, like, those little things are important. Mark has a good eye for the game, and I think that's something that definitely stood out from the kind of garbage time section of the game.
Oh, it's great.
I got a couple of questions for you.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, let me get mine off too, man. It's a conversation.
as long as it's just a player name, brother, I'm prepared.
All right, Eric, cool. Collin Gillespie.
His last year being broke, brother, that guy's going to make a whole lot of money. He's going to make a whole lot of money this summer, man. Look, not even the most efficient night for him. 6 of 14 from the field, 3 of 9 from deep, 15 points in his 8th consecutive game. I think just his feel for the game continues to improve. His playmaking and his passing, especially a fast break, bounce pass to Devin Booker earlier in the game was just really, really good. Just an all-around solid point guard. Let me ask you a question with a question. What's the weakness to his game? Because we see him hit some mid-range floaters now. We saw him take it to the paint off of an offensive rebound and finish over a big man. What's the weakness to Collin Gillespie's game at this current moment in time?
Yeah, that's a great question. Only one for me is that sometimes he is still kind of playing the passer scorer hat at times. And I think he's been significantly better than he was in the first 4 or 5 games of the season with it. But when he's in that mode to go and score first and second and third, that literally opens up everything else, including for his teammates. If I'm talking about weaknesses for his game, that's probably the only thing at this point. Outside of maybe finding ways to operate in the midi a little bit. But again, that's really picking at specific things. He's been significantly better than the Suns thought he was and could have ever imagined that he would have been at the peak of his powers. And that extends to also the defensive end. I want to give attention there too, because for that way that they turned the game around on defense, he was involved in that directly at the point of attack, getting deflections, navigating screens, staying attached to guys, making guys make extra decisions. He's really good, and you can't pick on him on the defensive end either, even if he is a kind of smaller guy. And I think that helps the Suns, especially once Jalen Green gets back.
All right, what's your next question, Mr. Question Asker?
Gil, man, when you look at a team that responds in so many different ways that this team has shown to, while having only been healthy for, 28 minutes that Jalen played in his first game? However many minutes that was?
23.
When you look at when you look at them coming back, getting closer to being healthy, Grayson knocking on the door, Jalen knocking on the door, and you look at the reconfiguration of the lineups and rotations, for a team that's been confident, how much more confidence do you think that's going to give them and potentially kind of just take steps in getting better as a team?
I think it's hard to put in words how much more confident they're going to get. And I think the wild card in that too is the fact that it's kind of a perfect storm, or setting up to be a perfect storm, because Book is finding his stride as well. So when he is getting back, because I would say he's probably 80-85% back to what we know he's capable of being. I think the next step is seeing him hit that transition three, because me and Eric are saying he wants it bad. And once he gets that, I'll know he's all the way back. But when Grayson and Jalen are back, and they're like, okay, we're not expected to just be the saviors, because our guy is being him and he can kind of make life easier for us, but also we're making life easier for him. And I would think that also the role players who have been punching up their weight class much longer than they expected to, they can take a deep breath and say, this feels easy too. So I think just the fact that everybody is going to just have basically just, it lightens the load for everybody all across the board. And I think that that's got to feel good and also add to your confidence about, look, we've been doing this. We're 6 games over 500 and have been at full strength for 7 minutes this season. And now it's like, okay, yeah. And we were talking about it too. Like, it's, you got through the gauntlet and you have another gauntlet waiting, but it feels much better to say, hey, this gauntlet's waiting, but we're going to be playing some of our best basketball when that's happening. And we've learned this team is self-motivated and their confidence comes from within that locker room. So honestly, through the roof, and I think they can continue to exceed expectations, even the ones that we've put on them where they are now.
Last one for both of y'all. Starting lineup when this team gets back healthy.
Save the best for last.
The fact that this is even a thought exercise says a lot about everything that you just said, Gil.
Yeah.
I think Collin is off the bench at first to give Grayson, Jalen, and Book a chance, and Collin kind of thrive in that super 6-man role with Brooks and Williams starting. I think that if Grayson struggles like he did when he came back from his first injury, there's a chance Collin goes into that starting lineup.
I was going to say the exact opposite. With the Collin Grayson part, I was going to say Collin, keep him out in that starting lineup. Jalen, Devin, Brooks, Mark. And if Grayson still can't find his groove from that 6-man role, we've seen that Collin can do it either way. And even like with Grayson too, because like the last time, 2 times he's come back from injury, he's gone right back on. So maybe it's like not put him in bubble wrap, but maybe minimize him a little bit.
Ease him into it, like they have seen. We've seen them do with stars across the league. And of course, Grayson Allen is a star. So you ease him in, you bring him off the bench, and you kind of work him in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm in alignment with Eric on that one. Just because I think the little things that Grayson does, if it's not something that you're heavily dependent on, if it's something that's an in addition to, it really helps to make them just a mess of chaos to have to deal with on the offensive end. And I think the other side of it is that Grayson's been holding up fairly well on the defensive end. Some of the things he's doing off the ball when they're healthy, some of the things he's doing on the ball, even when he's been put at the point of attack while they were dealing with injuries and whatnot, it's been really, really good. And I'm imagining, again, all of that space that Jalen is going to be able to explore and operate in ways that he just hasn't had his entire career so far. And what that can kind of reap benefit-wise for everybody, while also having Collin as your 3rd or 4th guard in terms of the pecking order, that's an embarrassment of riches right there. If all of those guys are hitting at the same time, and I think that's the last piece, the last domino that has to fall. And
then you got Jordan Goodwin and Jamaree Bouyea as your chaos creators
you gotta
too.
Make a choice there, man. You're gonna have to make a decision both contractually and just in terms of who's getting minutes there. That's
deepest guard rotation in the league. Like, I think top end, you can obviously look at a couple of other teams, but as far as like top to bottom, not a single bad guard on the roster, and they have like 40 of them. I think also
a different type of impact in that too, man. It's genuinely different. Nobody's a carbon copy of the other in that group.
100%. I think the only other positive for Collin off the bench is how good he is with Oso Ighodaro on the court. And obviously Oso and Mark are not going to share the court at the same time. Either way, you're going to stagger all these guys. You're going to have 2 borderline elite guards or elite guards on the court at all times. And if one of them is injured, you're going to bring in the best offensive rebounding guard, and he might play alongside them as well. Or you're going to bring in Jamaree Bouyea, who is amazing. I love that guy. Look, Steven, we could talk ball all day. Happy to have you back. Happy to get you back here in the swing of things. Of course, you can follow Steven at StevenPG3 on Twitter. That's Steven with a PH, posting highlights during the game, film breakdowns on our channel, just all sorts of fantastic basketball content, not slop, but actual real breakdowns, conversations. Appreciate you joining us, man. Really, really great to have you back, and looking forward to talking to you again soon.
I'm looking forward to Sunday, man. Talk to y'all soon.
Yes, sir. We'll see you soon. 2 orders of business before we get out of here. Let's get to our sponsored segment. It's time for By the Numbers, presented by Deborah with her $9.99 super chat will be sponsoring By the Numbers for today. So before we read the numbers, let's read the super chat from Deborah. It says, thank you all for all that you do. Glad to be a part of this great family. Thank you so much, Deborah, for your continued support, for being a member, for your $9.99 super chat, and for sponsoring By the Numbers. Obviously, the only number that matters, 129 to 102. The Phoenix Suns just thoroughly dominated tonight in all but one category. 56.3% from the field on 87 attempts. That's better than 41% on 85 attempts. It's 3-point land. Suns shot 25.8% from deep on 31 attempts tonight. They won by 27 points. The Kings shot 35.7% on 28 attempts. From the free throw line, the Suns hit 82% of their 28 attempts, completely tied in rebounds, 42 and 42, and out-assisted the Kings 23-20. So that was one order of business. Thank you so much, Deborah, for sponsoring that. We're going to continue to open up sponsorships for By the Numbers as we continue to the first super chat of every show until, we sell it again. We'll go to whoever super chats, and you'll get sponsored for By the Numbers. Last order of business. We are one step closer to Oso Ighodaro's nickname, coined and created by the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, the connector, going mainstream because Devin Booker in his postgame interview with Amanda Flu grad called Oso Ighodaro a connector. And that is our Love the Play presented by Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today if you are over the age of 21. Freckled Mamba, what did that mean to you to hear Devin Booker call Oso Ighodaro a connector in his postgame interview?
It's been almost an hour and a half since I heard it, and I still cannot put it into words what that meant to me.
You guys can't see him, but he's actually not sitting. He's levitating.
He's
right
levitating.
now.
And we were talking about it too. I was like, imagine if he's called him the connector. Like, imagine. It'd be like, oh my God, like Ayrton would lose his mind. And then he said, Oso Ighodaro connecting all of us out there.
I mean, like he stood up so fast. Like it was a really beautiful moment to witness here.
Yeah. Look, what a beautiful post-game show. About an hour and a half post-game show. We are back for 2026. We'll be off tomorrow. But got a really, 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 really cool video dropping tomorrow. Honestly, I think we should drop it on audio too. A little pull back the curtain here. So keep your eyes out, your ears out for that. Should we tell them? Should we tell them?
If you're in the Discord, I'll drop a picture and we'll see if you can decipher it. But we'll wait until it hits the feed to let everyone know.
Also, a big shout out. Speaking of Discord, our Discord was going crazy when on the Suns broadcast, our diehard and member Psycho Blue was on the broadcast. Look at that, man. Yeah. Absolutely vibing. Big shout out to Psycho Blue. That's our guy. That's Basketball Cthulhu in the flesh. Awesome stuff. He will know what I'm talking about tomorrow because Ayrton will drop a picture in there. Y'all have no idea what's coming.
Exciting.
Big shout out to I know who got it done? Gil, Ayrton. They got it done. Big shout out to them. You need to be subscribed to the channel. You need to be subscribed so that you know when that video drops tomorrow. You can also hit that like button. You, of course, can become a member today after you hit that subscribe button. The join button's right next to it. If you get $5 a month, boom, you're a member. You get a prepaid super chat every month. So look at that. And that's going to count for sponsoring by the numbers, by the way. But you get a prepaid super chat every single month, so it pays for itself, plus access to exclusive content, like all the fun stuff that we already have on our channel. You'll see the whole members only video tab there when you click on the channel. Plus, you get access to exclusive emojis in our chat, like the Dillon Brooks emoji, the Collin Gillespie emoji, where it's Collin Gillespie motion because he's got all of the ice on him. The SMW, we're working on getting that one back. The Ferk de Roofs, we got all of that. It was great. It's amazing.
Basically everything you need.
Everything that you need. You could become a member today. Come hang out with us Monday night at Gila River Resorts Casinos. The Suns are good. Like, I get it. Okay, watch parties, first couple of weeks of the season. The Suns are bad.
Yeah, you're feeling like, is it worth my time?
They're losing to the Jazz. Oh, I'm after work. It's tired. Look, this is a good team. And how sweet would it be to celebrate beating Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets all together?
We got the Freckle Mama this time.
This
is the first time.
Freckle Mama not ducking the smoke this time with Kevin Durant, and neither should you. We'll see you all at Wild Horse Pass on Monday night. Go phnx.com/events for more details on that. Espo's buying drinks. Steven's drinking a quadruple whiskey neat. All right, let's get out of here. Follow the show at PHNX_Suns for live up-to-date injury updates during the day. Of course, live game coverage, practice updates, live clips from the post-game shows and the post-game interviews, and all of that stuff all in one convenient location at PHNX_Suns. Become a more informed Suns fan there. Of course, follow Steven at StevenPG3. That's Steven with a PH. You can follow Espo, who's on vacation, at Espo. He'll be back for the Rockets game on Monday. He's taking some much-deserved time off. You can follow the Freckled Mamba, coining the connector, as always, behind the Mac, at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Gil at GilMcGregor_. Continue to show him love. As he said, he's our Phoenix Suns. So if you were hesitating to follow him because you didn't know if he was about that life.
You got me now.
Now you know.
You got me.
Oso's copying him. He's saying us, our. Dude is a Suns fan certified now. And you can follow me at ERIKRUBY. All right, let's go home. First show of 2026, an absolute success. And remember, at least you're not a Sacramento Kings fan. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.